Hi, it's Tiffany from Rattle the Stars Studio, and we're adventuring on a new project today. I am going to be attempting the Advanced American Designer pattern here. I believe it's like a 50s pattern, and we're gonna make these tapered pants. They're like a capri meets a pedal pusher with these big old pockets, and I'm excited and looking forward to it. We're gonna make it out of this really pretty teal turquoisey linen. I have had it in my stash for a while, and I'm just really excited about it, and I think it'll be a really fun project. This is one of those patterns where it's one size only in the envelope, and this is set for a 34 bust, which the envelope says the corresponding body measurements is a waist 28 and a hip 37, which is really close to my measurements. I might have to add an inch or two to the waistband, we will see, and I might have to add in an inch for my hip because my hip's a 38, not a 37, but I think that's fine. I'm really looking forward to these big old pockets, and it looks like it encourages top stitching, which I love. So yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so before we get going, we're going to take a look at our pattern instructions here. Seam allowance on all edges is 1/2 inch. These are pre-cut pieces, which means all the pattern pieces are already cut to shape, and you actually look at the perforations on the pattern to figure out what you are doing. So small or medium perforations indicate darts, tucks, trim, or cutting lines. 3 large perforations in a row show the grain line of the pattern piece. There'll only be 2 on small pieces. 2 large perforations close together show the edge of the pattern piece to be laid on a fold of the fabric. So I haven't used pre-cut patterns like this before, but I am familiar with them. So this is going to be really fun to try out. Because it's already cut, I actually don't think I'm going to trace out the pieces. Like, I normally trace all my pattern pieces on tracing paper and use the tracing paper version to cut out and use for my fabric, on my fabric and things, because I like to maintain all of the sizes of my patterns. You spend a lot of money on them, so you should have all of the sizes. But because these are already pre-done, I don't think I'm going to do that. So let's dive into these pattern pieces.
And then I changed my mind and decided to trace the pattern anyways. I actually found that following the dots was harder than anticipated, so I traced the pieces and translated the dots to the more modern pattern markings that I am used to working with. After that, I got to cutting everything out. You will notice that I cut my notches out as triangles away from the pattern piece. I do this for one main reason. If you cut the notches into the seam allowance and don't pay close attention, it's really easy to cut past the seam allowance. This can accidentally cut holes into the garment that you have to deal with later, which is no fun.
So I have the fronts put together. It has this lovely stitching. It's kind of like a pin tuck that's on the front of the pant leg. So you can see that's stitched here. And then I also got the pockets fully in. So that's a fully functioning pocket. This linen frays, so I did overlock stitch that on my serger. So for the front, I have 2 pleats left to do, and then it's onto the back. Now the back, I already have the darts sewn in, so I should be going straight to attaching the backs to the front sewing up the crotch and then installing the zipper. Once that is in, it's just waistband and then hemming. The pattern calls for a facing for the hem of the pants. I'm really short though, so I'm not sure I'm gonna do the facing. I didn't cut them out when I was cutting the pattern pieces because I know I'm going to have to bring these pants up quite a bit. And I think because of that, I can just fold the bottoms up and do the hem that way. And since there's so much top stitching, I might do a little decorative top stitch at the bottom to tack that and then still sew and tack down the extra part of the pant leg that gets brought up. We'll see how that works, especially because it has this pin tuck in the front. I don't know how nice that's gonna play with folding everything up, which is probably why they put a facing on this. So we will see how that goes. So I'll check in with you once I have the zipper in, because then we'll do our first test fit. Fingers crossed. Okay, so the zipper is in and now I'm kind of just finessing. The waist is great, but as you can see, they're really big. So I've pinned down this side. It's pinned about an inch down, starting right about here, right at the sort of curve of the hip, all the way down. I've also shortened it, but you can see that opening right there. Sorry, I'm trying to, there you go. You see that opening? So that's part of what the facing is actually doing. It's help creating this little like opening here. Cat's hiding. So I am going to have to do the facing. Say hi, Pepper. Bye, Pepper. And then I'm going to take in the side an inch, basically all the way down. But also the crotch is really low. So right now this crotch seam is just based, like really quickly basted in. And I'm gonna do an additional alteration on that. I'm gonna baste it first just to make sure I have it right. So with how this pattern is, the front and the back are not an even width on both sides. So one is a little more around the leg than the other. So it's not going to be a really quick and even thing. So like this one, how it's pinned, the seam actually is going to come back a little farther on the leg to make these even. And you can see it's kind of pulling a little. So I'm going to baste in the changes that I think I need, check the fit again, and if those are right, then we will permanently sew them. So after sleeping on it, I decided that I wasn't happy with the fit of the pants, even with the alterations I made. And a big part of that is I didn't make mock-up. My hubris got the best of me and I thought I could just go into a pattern without a mock-up, even though I know that I will have to make alterations because I am short and how things fit me. So I drew on my pattern pieces what the changes needed to be, taking in the sides, taking up the crotch. So I need to raise the crotch. I'm gonna raise it about 1.5 inches, which I think is too much, but then I can always remove fabric. You can't add it back in. So I'd rather alter it too much and then have to trim things out than not have enough fabric there. I did check. Thankfully, the fabric gods are with me. I have enough of this linen to cut another set of the pants out, especially because I have to hem them so much. I actually was able to cut the front facing out of the back piece that I cut off in length yesterday. So I was able to reuse some of that. and I took the zipper out of this because I'm going to keep using that zipper because it is the correct one for this. And while I was looking, and I know I have enough fabric to completely do the pants out of that linen, part of me wants to make the pockets floral. It's really pretty, like it's so pretty. So I'm gonna think about that. I have enough linen to cut the pockets and everything too, but I'm really tempted to just add this beautiful floral in now, since I basically have to completely redo the pants, and that turned into a mock-up, unintentional mock-up. So let this be a lesson to you. Do a mock-up. You need a mock-up. Mock-ups are important. Don't assume the pattern will just fit you right out the gate. Make a mock-up. So once again, I'm learning this lesson. I don't know why I didn't think to do it in the first place, but here we are. So let's draw out some new pattern pieces and then get cutting. Okay, we have pants. They're looking nice. They are fitting very well. We're looking good. So the center seam, which also is part of the crotch seam, I have adjusted. It's a little lower than I did my pattern to, but I did that on purpose because I added more fabric on these pattern pieces so that I had room to mess with it. I put the side seams in first and then started messing with the center crotch seam, which is not what the pattern says, but it allowed me to finagle it the way I needed. These inner seams, like inner side seams, I took out some of the steep curve that was there because it was causing wrinkling. So it's laying a lot nicer now that I took out some of that extra shape that was in there, and these are looking really good. I did take the pleat out of the pocket. It was not fitting right with that, so I'm keeping the pleat at these pin tucks, but I'm removing the pleats in the pocket area that the pattern calls for. So all that's left for these pants, we're going to serge all of our seams. We're going to put this center crotch seam in for real. Right now it's basted, and then it's facings and waistband and zipper. So huzzah, we're gonna have pants that actually fit. The pants are done. So to wrap up, I am actually quite pleased with how these turned out. One of the things I wasn't anticipating was apparently where the pants were sitting before the waistband was exactly at my natural waist. So if I were to remake these, I would actually shorten the top about a ½ inch because they're trying to be where the waistband is. So you're getting a little bit of like a roll right here. I also would lengthen the waistband a ½ inch to allow me to put the pants in without any kind of pleat on the pocket. I think that's causing a tiny bit of this pulling effect. But on the whole, I'm really happy with them. They look really cute. They're going to be great for spring, summer, fall. They have nice pockets, deep enough to fit the cell phone. One of the other things I would do, if you can see, it's pulling a lot at the zipper line. I would add just where the zipper goes, so from that back notch up to the waistband, I would probably add a 1/4 of an inch just to give myself a little bit more room to have the zipper fit in there and it not to pull on the fabric so much. So that's another thing I would do. Also, I'm really bad about interfacing where my invisible zippers go, so I should probably do that as well. That's not helping me at all. So yeah, thanks for coming along on this process with me. Remember, mock-ups are your friend and you should definitely do them. These turned out so much better after I basically used my initial pair as a mock-up. I'm really glad I decided to go back and redo the pattern and the shapes of everything. So I will see you all next week for more sewing shenanigans. If you ever have any comments or questions, please leave them down below in that comment section. If you want more sewing shenanigans, hit that subscribe button, give this a thumbs up so you can see all the videos that are coming your way. So thanks, and I will catch you all later. Bye.